Hello, welcome to the Word Cafe podcast. This podcast has been designed with curated content that centers on the power of words. Can we really do anything without speaking? Can we really do anything without the agency of words? Yes, that is what this podcast is all about. And I am your host, Aecogreen, your neighborhood word trader. I believe in the power of words, for it is the unit of creation. I trade in words to profit my world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good everything. How are you all doing? Yes, we're back to the Word Cafe live show. Yes, this is that space where we come in, yes, to lean on one another's experience to forge that positive path. Beautiful. Yes, the year has started, 2023. If you didn't get the memo, now you have it. The year has started. All right, all the holidaying, eating, and what have you. Well, it has not come to an end, but we have to put a pause to it so that we can make the best of the year. Beautiful. How are we going to start this year? And I've been thinking about it within this space, and somehow I want us to start on what I call education. Yes, not just what you know as education, but like really learning and getting the best out of life. And somehow I came in contact with someone. This person is so dear to me. You will understand why I say dear to me. This season, I've been coming across people I grew up with, people I sat down in class with for us to learn and all of that. And I have one of them in the studio too. Today, yes, we will be talking about Education My Superpower. This guy, he loves education and he has made the best out of it for himself. Do I call him a prof or do I call him a doctor? I don't know. Maybe when he comes on, he will tell us more about himself. Enough of my talking. I want to see him like you want to see him too. Where is he? Where is he? And there he is. Oh, hi, Uche.
Excellent. Wow, that's a great intro. Hi, Aecogreen. Good to be here.
Good to see you. Good to see you. This is like how many years now? Tell me.
Oh my God.
Say it.
Wow.
Don't say it. Just take it in.
We don't want people to start guessing our ages,
No,
do we?
no, don't go there. Don't go there. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. Thanks for having me. This is a great work you're doing.
Pleasure.
Well done. Yeah, we always knew it was there. We saw all the signs were there those many years ago. There's no doubt. There's no surprise at all with the great things you're doing today. Yeah.
Thank you. So how's the family?
Family's well. Yeah, kids have just, one kid has just come back to school. The other one goes back next week.
Beautiful.
Then, all good.
Beautiful. So what's it like? The weather out there where you are? What's it like? Is it cold? Is it warm?
It's actually quite moderate today. It was about 10 degrees today, which is quite moderate for this time of the year. We had a little bit of a cold blast in the middle of December. We had negative degrees, but it's normal for this part of the world.
Yeah, beautiful. Good to have you here. So before we begin this discussion, who is this guy called Dr. Uchechuwkwu Okere? Even though you don't want me to call you a doctor, but it feels good in my mouth, Dr. Uchechuwkwu Okere. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mark. My name is Uchechuwkwu Okere. Who am I? Okay, let me begin with what I currently do. So I'm currently a senior lecturer at the University of Derby. My official title is academic lead for environmental management, and my role basically is to lead an MSc in sustainability and environmental management program, and some research around that as well. I'm a Christian, and I'm also privileged to pastor a church. Here. I live in England. I live in a town in England called Loughborough. Nigerian. I came to the UK to study, in 2007. Before that, first, I'm not going to say how many years of my life, lived in Nigeria, studied, and that was where I met Aecogreen. Aecogreen and I studied at the University of Port Harcourt together. Yeah, so that's I'm married to the best woman in the world, Courage Okere, and we've got two lovely kids. My son is 12, my daughter is 9. Yeah, so that's a bit about myself.
Amazing. When you said 2007 or 2008?
2007, actually, yeah.
And it just feels like, so you mean we left school? How many? Let's not go there.
2004, 2005. Yeah.
That's why I said, don't even go there. And all this while you've been at it, Now I know, yes, back then in school, somehow we just have that, what I call it, knowing in our knower that if this person is doing this, he or she will likely end up in this space, But somehow seeing us where we are today is like, wow, really, those things you talked about or we talked about, we're seeing them play out in our lives. Now, for you, I know you've always been in that academic space. How did it begin after the 4 years? How did it begin for you, the pursuit and all that?
Yeah. I'll take a step back even before, or let's say the start of the 4 years of undergraduate degree. For me, it was, I would say I stumbled into it, and that's speaking like a normal, any other person would. But as a Christian, I know that I was led by God, even if at that point it wasn't what I wanted. So I always wanted to study medicine growing up as a child. Through secondary school, I wanted to study medicine. But like we say in Nigeria, they gave me chemistry and education to study at the University of Port Harcourt. And so my first degree was actually educational management. It wasn't something I enjoyed. I didn't want to do it, but somehow I enjoyed the chemistry part of it. And that was the beginning of my journey in education, because many, many years down the line, that degree would open doors. I didn't want to study then, would open doors. So following my degree, I had the opportunity to come to the UK to study for a master's degree. And at that point, I had begun to develop an interest in an area of chemistry, microbiology, environmental management. And that was what I did for my master's. So I studied basically environmental microbiology for my master's. And as I was coming to the end of that, I had an opportunity to proceed with a PhD, which I took. So it's been really one step after another. I would be lying if I said to you it was all planned out from the very beginning, but it's always about taking that next step, seeing what doors are open. And I always, the story of my life isn't complete without reference to my faith. So as one who prays and believes that God answers prayers, and I ask for direction, when those doors open and have a sense of saying, okay, this is where one should go, and I follow it, that's really how I ended up where I am. So as an example, during my NYSC, those of us who studied in Nigeria, you know what it's like in the National Youth Service Corps. It's a very frantic period, and looking back, it's a very tense period, because you don't really know what tomorrow holds. And I remember those days, I served with NCCF. I lived in the family house. NCCF is the Nigerian Christian Corpus Fellowship. Lived in the family house, and it was a time of a lot of hustle and bustle, a lot of I think that's the right word, hustle. People applying for jobs all over the place, doing all manner of certifications. But somehow, I just knew that this wasn't for me. I wasn't going to work. I wasn't going to take on any job. And I did not apply for one job. I did not go for one interview. I did not do any certification. I just knew that the path for me was to do a master's degree. And I thank God for his faithfulness. The doors opened, and I took that step. And following that, the same thing happened with my PhD as well. So in short, it's been just one step after another. But that initial step, I think God orchestrated it by giving me that start studying that degree in education. Yeah.
Beautiful. You know, when you said it wasn't planned, I just said no, it was planned. It's just that you didn't
Not
understand the plan. The plan was beyond you. But
Exactly.
somehow, by faith, you have to connect with the plan, because the truth is, every day of our lives, as in God has a way of tugging us or nudging us towards that, should I say, purpose for which we've been created for by Him. And following that tugging or nudging within, we just go into it. Now, let me ask this question. How did you embrace all of this? Yes, you're here now, but let us cast our mind back within the chaos and all of that. How did you embrace it? Because yes, at that point, everybody was just like, oh my, I need to apply for this job. I need to apply for that job. But you were like, no, I'm not applying for anything. How did you come to embrace this? At what point?
I think embracing, and I would say the flip side of embracing a conviction would be what's the word? I had the word. It's gone. Would be kind of a conflict. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Would be an internal conflict. So not being at peace with ourselves. And I think that is a consequence, or that is a consequence of some form of competition, some form of when we see that, oh, this is what everybody is doing, and so I have to do it as well because everybody is doing it. And again, that is a result of maybe not having one's clearly defined vision of where you are going, because once you've seen, or once you have a sense, or once you have a sense of a priority, what matters to you, then really what every other person is doing wouldn't really count, as long as you know that that path isn't going to lead you to where you are convinced you should be going. If that makes any sense. So for me, I would say it began with a sense of and I'm thankful to God every day that I went to University of Port Harcourt, because so many things happened to me on that campus. I grew in leaps and bounds. It was on that campus that even the convictions I carry today around the one reason I live really was birthed in me. So it's that conviction of, when I come to the end of my life, what really matters. When I come to the end of my life and I see Jesus as I believe, as a person of faith who believes in Jesus, and I see Him, what would matter to me? What do I want to hear Him say to me? So it was that conviction which became a priority for me, and I just knew that these are the things I need to do to align with arriving at that place, because that's the only place I would have peace. That's the only place I would find fulfillment. And so really embracing this, the next step, the thing that I was convinced I should be doing, just becomes a natural consequence, because I would know that if I did something because someone else was doing it, then I was really doing myself a disservice. I would do myself a disfavor. And in fact, that is when the conflicts will come. There will be an internal unrest. There will be a conflict.
Beautiful. Now, before we go into those academic questions and what have you, I mean, I have to ask this, because yes, you are a person of faith. We are people of faith, and we're not ashamed of it. You know, anywhere we go, whoever cares to listen, we say it. I remember back then in school, yes, pretty much involved with fellowship activities on campus and all that. I know you were a leader on campus too, you know, leading that's Christian
Castle, Christ Ambassador
yes, Christ Ambassador of the Assemblies of God Church. And I know you were really in tune with one man who came on campus and really did a lot for us. And that's it. His name is Pastor Ojo. I think he's now a bishop, if I'm not mistaken.
Bishop Jonathan Alao.
Alao, I beg your pardon. Thank you. You know, now I wanted to share with my audience what it was like for you, you know, working, because a lot happened that period, you know, casting our minds back when we used to go somewhere in D-line, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
We had an outreach, and we had
great
a lot
memories.
Of yes, they all came impacted on us and all. For you, I want you to give me that side of the story. You know, what was it like for you? All of that with balancing it with the academics now, because the truth is, many a times, so many people just look at that those of us who are people of faith, like on campus, we are on serious and all that. But just truly, I have a doctorate, a prof, more or less, in front of me. He was so busy on campus with those activities. I wanted to balance it for my audience. What was it like?
Wow. Where do I begin? I mean, the story of my life, my relationship with Bishop Alao is an ongoing one. It's an ongoing one. But to begin, where did the story start? So we attended a national conference, Christ Ambassador Students Outreach National Conference at APSU, and he was one of the speakers there. And I'm convinced. God spoke to me while he was speaking. And I felt these words in my spirit. There's something about this. There's something in you. There's something about you in this man. Follow him. And those are the convictions. I'm not going to take a lot of time in because as an undergraduate and he was up there, I didn't just have the access to just go straight. But I believe it was miraculous for that connection to be made, and I just began to relate to him from there. Things happened. He came to Castle, and then it expanded into other fellowships, and we began to organize conferences, international conferences with international guests, and things like that. But to the core of your question about balancing academics and doing other things that one feels called to. Again, I would go back to that word conviction. I'll go back to that priorities. What really matters to you? It's strange, really, that I've ended up in academia because I would be one of those people who would say to people, really, your life is not really about. There's more to life than academics, and I have the same view today when it comes to my job or other things I do. And there is more to life. Yeah, there is more to life, and for the key thing would be to be a rounded person, to be a person that doesn't just, bearing in mind that as a human being, you're not just a soul, but you're also a spirit and you're a body. And if we think that maybe that academic, that time when university, it's about feeding our minds and growing our soul, growing our intellect, that's important. But also you have a spirit, and you don't want your spirit to die. You want to also develop that part of your life. But even if we take it out of the spiritual side or the faith side, it's about relationships as well. You don't want to be someone who graduates from the university and you're thrown into a social environment and you're unable to relate with either your peers or people who are at a higher level. And you want to be a fully rounded person who is able to communicate, who has other life skills, because education is more than just having that degree in biochemistry or medicine or whatever. It's about being a fully rounded person. And I think it takes more than going to lectures and getting an A in physics 101 to be that person. It requires a lot more. So people who are at that stage in their life, I would encourage you to open up. I'll encourage you to not just be narrow-minded and focus only on the academia and passing alone, but to have this view that life is more than this. And obviously, this is not in any way saying you shouldn't take your academics seriously. To the limits of our knowledge and abilities, then we took our academics seriously. We graduated, even if I speaking for myself, I know I could have done better, but one is where one is today. So a bit of a long-winded answer, but I hope somewhere in there is some sense.
Now you are in that space called sustainability. You know, the work, what I say, dispensation we're in today, a lot is being said about sustainability, sustainable energy, sustainable this, sustainable that. You know, it's now like a buzzword being thrown, in my opinion, recklessly. Everywhere you go now, you hear sustainability. Now, I want you, from where you are practicing this now, what is sustainability in the context as what we see today, energy and all of it? What is it all about?
Yeah, that's a really, really important question. So the technical definition, the concept of sustainability will be the concept of using our resources today in such a way that the future generations will be able to access the same resources in the same way that we're able to access them today. So that would be the technical definition. The challenge I've had with both in teaching and research and also doing some professional training with people in industry with understanding the concept is the error of limiting sustainability to environment. Okay, so that is one error that I find. So you find people, for example, saying, "Oh, we're in banking, we do finance, so we've got nothing to do with the environment. We don't cut down trees, we don't drill for oil, so we've got nothing to do with the environment. So sustainability has got nothing to do with us." But there are five sustainability capitals.
Okay.
The environment is only one of them. There's finance, there's the social capital, there's the human capital, and there's one more, which I can't remember right now. Look, there are five sustainability capitals. So you would find that no matter what your activities are in life, no matter what you are doing, you are interacting in one way or another. So if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, for example, they cover things across health, they cover things around equality, and then the environment side as well, things around justice and so on. So it is something that is applicable to all of us. So no matter what our profession is, whether we're in finance or we're in human resources or we're in manufacturing, engineering, healthcare, whatever we're doing, we are all impacting on society. We're all impacting on the economy. We're all impacting on the environment. And so that thinking, that question of how can I conduct my activities, and if I offer services, how can I offer my services? If I develop products or even use products, how can I develop or use those products in a way that I am not adversely affecting the natural environment? I'm not making a negative impact on society. So negative impact on society, for example, would be things like asking ourselves, is there equality, is there justice in society that I live in? So for example, if I work in an organization, are women paid less just because they are women? Okay, in my organization, do they have equal opportunity? Does a girl child have equal opportunities with her male counterparts to go to school, for example? Or do we marry her off at 13 because she's a girl and has reached the age of birth? So these are all sustainability issues, and it's not limited to the environment. It's a key concept that every one of us, whether we run our own businesses, we work for an organization, we work in government, should consider and get education on and take seriously, because it's an existential issue. It's an existential issue because the challenge is that without a sustainable world, if we don't have a sustainable world, our children will not have the resources that we have today. And we're already seeing that happen across the world. Issues around water scarcity as a result of the destabilization of the water cycle, for example. Issues around pollution. I mean, in Nigeria, I'm Nigerian, and one of the things that motivated me really to go into environmental science at first was I was invited by a friend to his village in 2006. He's from Bayelsa. We traveled by road for about by speedboat for about 4 hours. And when I got there, what I saw still impacts me till today. I saw fish float. You could scoop the layer of oil from the river. Fish floating. The farmlands were flooded. And so communities like that, for example, they're unable to farm anymore. They're unable to fish, and these were their livelihoods. So these are the sustainability issues. They are real, tangible issues. The issue of flooding is a recurring one in Nigeria today. I could go on and on. Yeah, so it's a key issue that everybody should seek to get knowledge about, should seek to get seek to get some information and awareness about, and see where they can contribute.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Educating us and creating that level of awareness. But within the sustainability space, the fossil fuel discourse has been ongoing. You have those who are for and those who are against. So basically, that's talking about the energy market. From where you stand from the academia, what's your take about the fossil fuel, the future of fossil fuel, and the future of energy, globally speaking?
Yeah. Critical question, very, very, very good question. And I think the first thing to say would be that anybody who gives you a definite answer and saying this is definitely what's going to happen in the future would have had to have a crystal ball. Okay, you need to have some form of superpowers to be able to see what's going to happen. Definitely. But there are things we know. Okay, so things we know, for example, are number one, our rate of use of fossil fuels is not sustainable. And what that means is that the source is not a sustainable source in the sense that it's not easily replenishable. So it's going to run out one day. All right, that's the first challenge. The second challenge is that the use of fossil fuels produce greenhouse gases which warm our climate and contribute to climate change. Okay, so that's the other. They contribute to global warming, which has a myriad of challenges. So that's the other problem. So both in the availability of the material itself and how we use it, these two issues are adversely and negatively impacting on our world. So the solution, therefore, is to ask ourselves, what are the alternative sources of energy? And that's where things around, for example, for cars, we're beginning to have electric cars and things like that. For solar energy, wind energy, more renewable sources of energy are coming into place. But again, let me throw something into the mix. There's also now I've spoken purely from the environmental side of it, okay? But there's also the economic side. Okay, so you come to a nation, for example, I keep talking about Nigeria. You come to a nation like Nigeria, for example, and you say to them, stop drilling. Okay, stop drilling your crude, okay, which is your main source of foreign revenue. Stop drilling because we don't want to pollute the environment anymore. Okay, how does that make sense to Nigeria? Okay, it's not going to work. Okay, because countries that are blessed, and I would say that countries that are blessed with these natural resources have to use them also as a source of economic growth. So this is where we have to have a for want of a better word, a balanced thinking, a balanced way of thinking, and saying, okay, how do we access these resources? How do we use them in such a way that our children who are going to be here 100 years time will still know what crude is, will still know what diesel and fuel is, because we haven't exhausted the sources, and we have not also destroyed the planet by global warming, by changing the climate so drastically that it's unable to return to its natural state. What are the solutions? It's an energy mix. Okay, that's what we're talking about at the moment. So what are the alternative sources of energy that we can begin to develop and use them, maybe side by side the ones that we have now. But these are big issues that require international collaborations, because countries, Russia will do what he wants to do, Saudi Arabia will do what he wants to do, Nigeria will perhaps do what he wants to do, depending on where the income is going to come from. But governments have a key role to play. International policies have a key role to play, way beyond what individuals can do. So
now talking about energy mix, recently I was reading something about agriculture. If you look at the civilization of man, agriculture has been part of our mainstay.
That's right.
Man is, by nature, we are agricultural by nature. And reading backwards, things that had to do with plants, how to harness the potential from plants. And a given plant that I was just doing a simple research and I stumbled upon that was marijuana, what we call, what's the name now? The sativas. You have they have the sativa family, And when I read in-depthly what we can do with marijuana. I'm not talking about the pharmaceutical whatever now. Every aspect of it. It is so rich. And I asked myself the question, why did we jettison it? Because when you talk about the energy mix, if you read about it, you come to see that it has a whole lot. That way back to the Egyptian civilization and the Chinese, the dynasties and all that, they actually harness the potential from marijuana. So what happened that we jettisoned it? So talking about the energy mix, do you think we can throw this into the energy mix in terms of the agricultural aspect now in creating those sustainable energy, like our diesel, our fuels? What's your take on it?
I think one of the suggestions that sustainability professionals would make to you, one of the things that people would normally say is that to a sustainable world would only come about by a radical change. So it's not going to be business as usual. For example, one of the things that we would say would be that the purpose of business will have to be redefined. So businesses will no longer need to exist to make money. Businesses will no longer need to exist just to be profitable, but we will have businesses who their core purpose of existence will be different. Why am I saying that? It's that nothing should be too outlandish to consider. So no. So anything that has a potential to contribute to improving our sustainable energy sources should and would be considered. But having said that, there may be lower hanging fruits that we can begin to access before we perhaps begin to attempt to use the more controversial sources. So, for example, ethanol is more easily accessible. We've got a lot of plastics. I'm thinking about Nigeria now again. With a lot of plastics floating all over the place. We've got a lot of from some research we did a few years ago. Nigeria's waste composition is about 70 to 80% organic waste. Okay, and that is a rich source of energy. So we can begin from all of those. And if marijuana is something that also offers solutions, of course, why not? However, some of these would require a lot of R&D, a lot of testing, and the time that it might take to get to that point might be a challenge as well. But there are lower hanging fruits that we can easily access. We haven't fully maximized the potential of solar energy. For example, in Nigeria, we haven't maximized even hydro and wind. We haven't maximized those sources yet, and perhaps those would be lower hanging fruits that we could begin to look at.
Beautiful. Guys, we've been discussing with Dr. Uchechuwkwu Okere, even though he doesn't like me calling him that, but I have to. And we've been talking about education by superpower. And you'll agree with me, he's been unleashing, that superpower within this space. Now, you made mention of something about business is not going to be about making money, but about sustainability. What I hear is prosperity, as in across all. Prosperity is not just about making money now, but that this energy discourse or energy mix we've been talking about in terms of sustainability, many businesses that are involved in it are looking at the time to market, as in how to make quick buck at the end of the day, not looking at the long run. So I want you to just expatiate a little to throw some light on this. We're not about making money now. We're about sustainability. What I hear is we're about prosperity. How do we forge, in terms of policy, this message or message it into the mindset of each and every one, so that we all embrace this as a team in creating that solution?
Yeah, the last thing you said there is really, really critical. The last SDG is about partnerships for the goals, because we won't be able to achieve the goals if we don't have enough if we don't have sufficient partnership across board, working together as teams. And it's about education, it's about awareness. So COP27 just happened towards the end of last year. One of the resolutions that came out was around the importance of, and it got in my heart because that's my current research area around education for sustainable development. And what they were really saying was that it's really, really critical that education and training and awareness about sustainability becomes critical, is taken more seriously, because without it, we won't really be able to achieve sustainable development. We won't be able to achieve a sustainable future. So that's how it's going to happen. It's going to be by people becoming more aware. So organizations need to understand that the point that sustainability is for you. It is so that in 20 years' time, your business will still be able to have the raw materials it needs for production. It is so that your logistics will still work, because if as a result of global warming there are floods, the bridges collapse, you're unable to transport your goods, or the cost of transporting your goods to markets will increase. These are the issues that people need to understand. You need to understand that if things get worse, there will be more regulation, both locally where you operate and internationally, and you would have to meet your compliance risks will increase. Okay, your risks of breaking the law and being fined would increase. So it's for you, it's for your benefit that you begin to consider, how can I begin to structure my business in such a way that I can position myself? Because while there are sustainability risks, there are also sustainability opportunities. One of the things we say to organizations when we go into to train is that you can become that first, you can take that first mover advantage within your industry and begin to take advantage of the opportunities. At the very least, if you become known as a sustainable organization, very simple way of doing it is to begin to produce sustainability reports. Your first one might not be brilliant, you might not have done a lot, and there might not be a lot in it, but the fact that you're willing to be transparent and you're beginning to identify your impacts, and you're saying to your stakeholders, both internally and externally, we are aware of where we're making impacts in society, and we're thinking about it, and we want to do something about it. That's a starting point, and then you can begin to ensure that you achieve compliance. That's the barest minimum. Begin to say, okay, we're going to achieve compliance. We're going to do what needs to be done to meet the regulatory requirements in our industry. It sounds like a no-brainer, but I know my audience, so that's why I'm talking about this, because in some climes, it's virtually impossible to operate if you're not complying. You will be out of business. But in places where you're able to bend the law and get your way around, if you know the right people or you have enough money, you've got to understand that by breaking the law, by breaking emission limits, for example, by disposing of your waste where you're not supposed to, and doing all of those, by not paying your staff as you're supposed to, you're just creating more risks for yourself. And a day is going to come when all of us as a society will have to pay the price. So the short answer is about awareness. We've got to understand that we it's for us. Okay, we're doing this for ourselves. But having said that, I just want to also buttress the fact that this doesn't mean, therefore, because one of the questions we get asked is, but we're a business, we need to make money. How do we pay staff if we don't make money? Running a sustainable business is profitable. Okay, so you might have to, for example, you might have to spend a bit of money up front. So, for example, you might need to bring someone in to do some training. And by the way, I'm available. Okay, or you might sorry for plugging.
No, why? It's okay.
Or you might need to hire a sustainability professional, or you might need to implement an environmental management system.
Yeah. Okay,
that will cost you something to begin with, but the fact that you have an environmental management system today, and in 3 years' time, you can show continuous improvement, might put you in a position to be able to apply for a UNEP grant, which the business down the road will not be able to do because they haven't done what you've done. So that's the kind of thinking that people need to begin to have. That it might cost you today, but in the long run, running your business in a the word is there, it's sustainable. It just means that you're going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
To be right. Yeah.
Mindset change. That's what I hear you say. You know, we need to educate ourselves. We need to create that level of awareness, you know, and also would I say courage for change, to handle change, because the truth is this has been around for over a century, and so it's like changing this mindset. You know, the energy market that we know today has been around for almost 100 years plus. So it's like, come on, it's free money. Come on, it's cheap. Come on, it's easy to access and all that. So we now trying to not, should I say, jettison that, but rather change or bring a mix into it. It will take a level of educating, creating that level of awareness, and also pointing to the future. Like, yes, there's hope. We see the hope there and all that. Thank you so much.
Right.
Now, before I let you go, I told you, time seems to fly away, as in
can't believe we're talking for 40 minutes.
I'm telling you, when you do what you enjoy, time just flies away. And look at the time now, you know. But I need to ask you this, as a husband and as a minister, how do you, and a lead, you know, in your activity, as in within the university space now, how do you balance all of this? How do you, in terms of time for family and what have you, and relaxation and all that?
Yeah, the people make time for what is important to them. I think that's the principle. We all make time for what matters to us. It comes down to priorities. Are there prices you have to pay? Are there sacrifices you make? Definitely. But when what people see as sacrifices, you don't really see them as sacrifices, because like I said earlier, you've got a conviction about what really matters to you. You've got your priorities, and you know that this is what needs to be done for you to do what you need to do. Practically speaking, it's important that you have the right wife. True.
The right wife and the right husband now.
The right husband, yes.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be able really to, with the best intentions in the world, if your spouse is not on the same journey with you, then it becomes a lot more challenging.
True.
We're very busy. Our lives are very busy. My wife and I work full time, and we pastor. We pioneer the church here as well, and that's almost a full-time job as well. We've got 2 kids. So yeah, life is busy, but we love it. We embrace the challenge. We're grateful for the opportunities, and we see it as a privilege to serve people, to make a difference in people's lives. Yeah.
Beautiful. Life is busy, but when you love something, you make time for it. You create that time for it, and somehow it works. People, we've been discussing with Dr. Uchechuwkwu Okere. It's been amazing. A brother, a friend, we've come a long way, and it's like catching up with the past, you know, in the present. You know, that's what I call this. You know, thank you so much for taking out this time to come do this with us. Extend give my love to your wife and your children. I mean, the last time I saw your wife, Courage, yes, that was on Facebook. You guys were celebrating, I think, your wedding anniversary or so. Amazing. I was just looking at that. She has not changed one bit, honestly. As in, she has not. She's still, that calm personality and all that. So beautiful. Thank you. Extend our love and all to her. Guys, we have to let him go, but you know how we do it within this space. This is where we come to lean on one another's experience to forge a positive path. Thank you for being there. I want to say a very big thank you to my friend and my brother, Dr. Uchechuwkwu Okere. He's a trainer, by the way. Guys, he's a trainer, so you can reach out to him. But before I let him go now, give us that, should I say, point where we can catch you. Where can we catch you? How do we catch up with you if we want to?
I'm on Twitter at Okere Doctor, I think. I'm on Facebook as well, Uchechuwkwu Okere.
You're on LinkedIn, I guess.
I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn. Yeah. So I think it's my full name, Uchechuwkwu Okere. I'm on LinkedIn.
Is your full? Yes. Guys. I want us to just follow him. Go ahead, check him out. He's a wonderful teacher. I assure you, he's a wonderful. He's not just a trainer. He's a teacher. He leaves that space of training and he goes into breaking it down for you to understand. Whoa, I wish I can keep him here. I wish, but I need to let him go to catch up with other things. But till we come your way again, you know how we say it on the show. Bye for now. Doc, what do you have to say?
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome time it has been with you on the Word Cafe podcast today. Thank you for being there. You can catch me up on my social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all at Aecogreen. Also, you can get copies of my books, A Cocktail of Words, The Color of Words, and my HR notebook on Amazon and on Robin Heights online bookstores. You can also subscribe to my YouTube page at the same address. Yes, till we see you again. Bye for now.